Alright guys, so we created an HTML page and we implemented some CSS in an external style sheet. We dealt with different tags and different attributes and styling. So what I want to go through in this section is tables and lists. So I'm going to actually use the shell of this template of this page to build our tables and lists. So I'm going to create a new folder, which will be chapter 1, section 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm going to do is just copy what we have from the last section and let's see, get rid of that. I'm going to open this with Notepad++, and I'm also going to open the CSS file. And if we open up this HTML page, and I want to go in and I want to get rid of a lot of this stuff. We want the container because we want this area with the border and such, but we can get rid of all these headings, the links, and the image. So we should just have, in between the body tags, we should just have the container div. So if we save that, now you can see we have the div, we just have nothing in it. And we can even give it a minimum height. So actually, let me get rid of this H1, get rid of this image styling, and for the container we can say min height. We could give it a hard-coded height as well, but it won't grow as you add content. If we do a min height, it will grow as we add content to it. So I'll say 400 pixels, and now it's 400 pixels, but it will extend if our content extends. So I'm going to go to my HTML, and I want to pull up a page. The W3C website, or W3 Schools, is just an awesome website to learn pretty much everything. And this here will give you some examples of HTML tables. Tables are basically like how an Excel spreadsheet works. We have table headings, and then we have columns and rows. Alright, and here's the syntax. We have a table tag, opening tag. This particular one has a border attribute of 1, which is just a border of 1 pixel. And then we have rows, which are labeled with TR, and you can see the closing row is here. And in between the rows we can have columns, which are the TD tags. Alright, so let's go and create a table. And I'm just going to create a simple table that has some baseball teams and their wins and their losses and ties. So what I want to do is say table, and I can end the table. Now, one thing that should be mentioned is that back in the day, in the 90s and early 2000s, people, or even today, even sometimes today, people use tables to create website layouts. So let's say they had a site that with a main column in the middle and then 2 sidebars on the side. They would use a table and put 3 columns and then put all of the website content in that table. That is very, very bad practice nowadays. Now you want to use CSS. You want to use div tags to create columns and rows. Tables are still great sometimes if you have tabular data that belongs in a table, such as a scoreboard like we're going to do here. So I just wanted to get that out there because it's just very important for new developers to understand. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a row of headings. So we do that with tr, which is table row, and then we're going to do th for table heading, and the first heading we want is baseball team, and we're going to have a few columns. We're going to have game wins, game losses, and game ties. Okay, so we have a row with 4 heading columns. TH is for headings, and the next thing we're going to do is create some data, and we do the same thing. We have table rows. Instead of TH though, we want to use TD because these are just standard columns, not headings. So the first thing we want is a baseball team. We'll say Boston Red Sox, and that will be TD. And next we want the wins of the Red Sox, so we'll say TD. We'll say 30 wins, and losses, TD. Red Sox are awesome, so they have no losses. If you don't know, I'm from Boston, so I'm going to give them some good stats. And we have no ties, undefeated. So we can copy this. Actually, we can look at this. We save it. You can see we have our headings, which are in bold, and then we have the stats for the Red Sox. So now we can create another one. Let's actually create 4 teams. Let's say New York Yankees have 0 wins and 30 losses. So we'll give them 29 losses and a tie. Okay, so let's see, who else we got? Let's say Chicago Cubs have 15 wins, 13 losses, and 2 ties. And we'll say New York Mets can have 15 wins, 15 losses. Alright, so if we go look at our table, you can see we have a nice table with tabular data, not website format, because that's not what tables are for. And let's just put a heading. We'll say H1 baseball stats. And that didn't show up for some reason. Alright. Now we can give the table a border as well, like the one I showed you on the W3 Schools site. Say border equals 1. And that looks really ugly, but you can have a border like that if you want. You can also style tables with CSS. So let's actually do some of that. So we want to style let's style the rows. So if we go to our CSS file, I'm sorry, I didn't even show you guys that I gave the headings and the columns a width of 100, and I aligned the text to the center. So if I didn't do that, this is what it would look like. Okay, they're still aligned to the center, but there's no width, there's no padding. So if we do that, it just makes it a little better. So if we want, we can put a border, let's say TR, and we'll say border bottom 1 pixels, light gray, and dashed. I'm sorry, we got to do that to the columns, TD. Okay, so you see we have a nice little border. I can add some padding. We'll give it 3 pixels padding up and down and 0 left and right. Okay, so that looks a little better. Now that's it for tables. That's the gist of it. We can also make some lists, HTML unordered lists. So let's do that. Go back to the index.html, and after table I want to do a couple line breaks, and we'll put another heading. We'll say league stats H1, and now we're going to do an unordered. Actually, we're going to do an ordered list, which will give us the numbers. So we want to do an OL tag, and in between there we want list tags. So we'll say Boston Red Sox. Okay, who else did we have up here? Yankees, Cubs. So next will be the New York Mets. Whoop. Then the Chicago Cubs. And last place, New York Yankees. Alright, oops, spelled Yankees wrong. Okay, so if we go and look at that, we have league stats, and we have the 1 through 4 on the side. So unordered lists work the same way. Let's put some break tags here. And we'll do an unordered list, which is UL. And we still have the LI tags. And actually, let's put a heading right above it, and we'll say other sports. So we'll say hockey, football, and soccer. Whoop. Alright, save those, and if we reload here, you can see the only difference here is that we have bullets instead of numbers. Now, we have the entire container lined up text align center. So if we don't want it formatted like this, we can change this. If we go to our CSS and we want our LI tags, we want to say text align left. That looks better. Alright, so that's it for tables and lists. You can see we have a nice little statistic page here. Next we will be getting into, let me just check real quick. Next we'll be getting into HTML forms. Form elements. We'll look at some of the new HTML5 elements. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next section.